so much for being here this evening in this beautiful weather outside. We appreciate your support and your interest in the Center Grove Community School Corporation, which of course is the best school corporation in the state of Indiana. And we thank you for all that you do to keep this school corporation the way it is. So with that, we develop knowledgeable, confident, and responsive citizens through the inspirations and innovative learning opportunities. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I would ask Dr. Jeff Henderson to come to the front to introduce our Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, President Toomey, members of the board. Thank you all for having one of our students here this evening to open the meeting's Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to introduce to you Matthew Miller. Matthew, if you'll start making your way up here. As you'll be able to easily recognize from Matthew's attire tonight, he is a Boy Scout and spends a lot of time, as I understand it, playing virtual reality games, and is incredibly interested in becoming an educator potentially in the future. Really has enjoyed watching other scouts progress through the scout process and earning badges along the way. Understand that he recently completed his firecrafter process with the scouts as well and earned his badge for that. So he's thinking of becoming an elementary teacher or a middle school science teacher or doing something in the science-related fields. So Matthew joins us this evening to deliver the Pledge of Allegiance. Matthew?
Will you please put your right hand over your heart? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, sir.
At this point, I will entertain a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
Madam President, I move we adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Russell. The motion has been made. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed likewise. Motion carried. It is the school board's honor from time to time to recognize outstanding feats, if you will, of things that have happened in our school corporation, whether it be academics or athletics. And this evening, it is our honor to honor a young lady who perhaps you saw in person this past year, or perhaps you saw her on television or whatever. But this evening, we are honoring the 2019 Indiana Miss Softball. The young lady is Abby Herbst, and we would like to congratulate. And Abby, would you please come forward?
For her, because she asked me to do them, and now she's not even.
27. Very cool.
Big 10, 12, 14. What is it now?
Still consider the Big Ten, but there's 14 schools.
Just a little gap in. We need one of the background.
So if you didn't have a chance to come out and watch the impressive play of our softball team this year, you missed a unique experience to witness a great group of young ladies gel together. And Abby was certainly responsible for a lot of the leadership on the team, along with several of her other teammates that have joined her here this evening to celebrate her individual successes. But I know that as I talked to her throughout the year and greeted the kids when they came in the mornings, they were a really tightly knit group of young ladies that played extremely well together. So I know Abby appreciates all the support that was behind her on the field to help her accomplish this individual award. So we're really proud of her and wish her well as she heads off to Wisconsin to play softball. So leaving soon, right?
Yeah, 27th.
27th. All right, so very good. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Our next item on the agenda is the pre-formal bargaining hearing report. Dr. Arkanoff?
Thank you, Mrs. Toomey. This evening, I would like to share with the board some information about the first ever pre-formal bargaining hearing meeting that we had earlier this week. And Mr. Taylor is going to provide you with some information of that meeting that I believe took about 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Thank you, Dr. Arkanoff. Yeah, this is pursuant with the new Indiana code. It's 2020-961. It was a requirement that we have an open hearing to accept public comment before we enter into the bargaining process with our Teachers Association. At that meeting, comments could have been given focused on teacher salaries, wages, or salary and wage-related fringe benefits. As Dr. Arkanoff mentioned, the meeting lasted for about 90 seconds. We had no public comment provided.
That is our report.
All right. Thank you very much for that report. Our next item on the agenda is public comments. Are there?
Do not believe we had any. Oh. Yeah, turn
Okay.
the page. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Pam. We have no public comments this evening, so we will move forward. The next item is the consent items. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam President, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Is there a question or a concern? Okay, all those in favor then signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed likewise. Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is action items, and that is accepting bids for the high school natatorium. Dr. Arkanoff.
Thank you, Mrs. Toomey. Yes, this evening, I'm recommending that the board accept the bids for the high school natatorium project, and Dr. Long is going to provide you with some additional information.
Thank you. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce from AECom Hunt, Eric Howe, Jim Gully, and Chad Peters. They will answer all the hard questions. Bill Payne from Fanning Howie will help.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we might have talked about this once or twice. So, but on a serious note, on August 8th, 2019, we opened a total of 28 bids for 9 different bid packets for the high school pool project. 2 bidders submitted combination bids. After a thorough analysis of the bids by AECom Hunt and Fanning Howie, they recommend accepting the following bids for the project. For the combination bid packet number 1 and 2, site work and general trades, to Gibraltar Construction Corporation in the amount of $8,170,000. For bid packet number 3, precast, it goes to Core Slab Structures Incorporated in the amount of $1,713,000. Bid packet number 4 for steel to Geiger and Peters Incorporated in the amount of $1,898,000. For the roofing, bid packet number 5 to Inslee Systems Incorporated in the amount of $756,000. For bid packet number 6, the actual pool, R.L. Turner in the amount of $4,849,000, which includes the alternate bid number 4 for aquatic timing systems and display by Daktronics. Bid packet number 7 for fire suppression Brown Sprinkler Corporation in the amount of $137,500. Bid packet number 8, the mechanical to Griner Brothers of Indianapolis in the amount of $3,896,000. And bid packet number 9, electrical to Banta Electrical Contractors Incorporated in the amount of $1,825,000. The really good news, while we did have a couple of bid packets where we only had one bidder in those areas, that the quality of people that were bidding, we were very pleased with. We've done work with a lot of these contractors before on our various other projects, and we're real excited to get started on this. And we recommend that the board accept these bids for the high school pool project.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I've got one. Bid packet 3, the precast, is that who also did the precast on the Student Activity Center?
It is. They're close by. That's one of the really nice
Cool.
things. They're right up on around 52 and 465, but they did the same work.
I guess I'm more concerned, about consistency, because we want it to be even though we're building it in phases, we want it to look consistent.
It was all done at the same time.
Perfect, thank you.
I just had a couple of questions. I don't know if it's best for Hunt or for you, Dr. Long, but I do acknowledge that what you said, there were 28 bids on 9 packages, but several of our packages, I think I counted 4, just had one respondent, one bidder. What do we attribute that to?
I'll let Jim answer most of that, but I think from our experiences that Hunt and Fanning Howie really worked the phones and to try to get as many bidders as possible. And I think they thought that we had 2 or 3 on every package. But I just think that just the amount of work that's available out there. We talked to people that had just finished work at Walnut Grove, and they weren't going to bid because they were so busy. And I think, Jim may have a different version than that, but.
Along the same lines, Dr. Long, earlier that week, we took the bids on Thursday, right, April the 8th on Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday, we were making calls, and we said, Monday, Tuesday, we had 2 to 3 bidders for each bid package. Come Wednesday, Thursday, obviously, some of them dropped off. I'll be honest with you, it doesn't surprise me a whole lot that we only received one for the precast that Scott brought up, just due to the close vicinity hauling, that costs money, right? So they're close vicinity and they've done the student activity center. What was surprising for me was the site and the mechanical contractor. Again, on both of those, we had 2 to 3 bidders earlier that week that were planning on bidding it. So it was a surprise to me, to say the least, as well. But again, like Dr. Long said, the contractors we've worked with before, we're very pleased to have these guys on this project.
And I guess based on your experience, and I'll ask this from Hunt, you're still recommending, even though a couple of them you're surprised we only got one bidder, to take this one as opposed to maybe put a couple packages back out?
Yes.
And why is that?
Well, for one, mechanically was actually a little under our budget. So obviously it was in our budget. The second one, the site work, 2 things. One, it was a little over budget, but it was still within the acceptable range, if you would. And plus, with Gibraltar combining, doing a combo bid with the general trades, and looking at that, it was very competitive with our estimate as well.
So as a whole, even though there were a few we only had one bidder on, you think these are all quality contractors? You and Fanning Howard are both signing off and saying, let's go forward? Last thing I want to acknowledge, and Jack will like this probably more than any of us, you are sitting with Chad Peters, a proud graduate of Center Grove in 1989. So we're very happy that he's going to be helping you on this project, and his kids will be going here too, so that's exciting stuff.
He'll be the guy in charge, so he'll be the project manager on site.
All right. He'll probably ask you about the Alumni Association before it's open, Chad. I just wanted to give you that heads up. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your answers.
Other comments, questions? All right, the chair will entertain a motion for acceptance of the bids.
I move that we accept the bids on the pool portion of the package and move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed likewise, motion carried.
All right,
Thank
Jim.
you.
Thank you.
Way to go,
All right,
guys.
Jim, when you gonna be done?
I told Mr.
June
Pa-
of 2000, or 2021. Check you for June of 2021.
Bill, you,
Chad said he's going back to the trailers right now to get started.
Getting the shovel over there now?
so June of 2021, all right.
We gotta
Chad,
set-
you got your marching orders, my friend.
The pool we got now won't last that long.
Just ask these guys, I'll hold you to June of 2021.
I would be remiss if I didn't point out, my swimming hole at Center Grove is still there, sorta. It was on top of the hill, and it was actually Center Grove Resort, and it was a lake.
Thank you, gentlemen. We look forward to seeing maybe a little bit shorter period of time so that we can all take a dive. But anyhow, we look forward to working with you, and thank you so much for what you've done to this point. Appreciate it. Our next item on the agenda is to approve the NCSS Comprehensive School Climate Survey. Dr. Arkanoff.
Thank you, Mrs. Toomey. This evening, I'm recommending that the board approve the comprehensive school climate inventory survey, and Dr. Long will provide you with some additional information.
Oh, thank you. I already moved on to item number 3. I'm like, I don't have anything for that. So, if you recall, when we had our safety audit of the school corporation and individual buildings, one of the recommendations was that we do a climate audit. And I think the board's seen principals present different types of surveys to parents and everything. So we found when we visited Littleton, Colorado, they used the National School Climate Center to do surveys of their students, staff, and parents. And they do that every other year, and they use that information to look for ways to improve, but to find things that they do well. So we decided that we'd like to do an electronic school climate survey to all of our students. We've already talked to our staff during the discussions about surveying our staff as well. The Comprehensive School Climate Inventory is a nationally recognized school climate survey that provides an in-depth profile of the school's community's particular strengths and areas for improvement. With the CSCI, we will be able to accurately assess student, parent, guardian, and school personnel perceptions in order to get data that we need to make informed decisions for lasting improvement. I think since I've been here in 22 years, this is the first time we've made a concerted effort to gather information from all the stakeholders. We've done some thought exchange things, but this is a deliberate and intentional survey of our students and our parents and our staff, and we recommend that the board allow us to survey our students.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, on the screen in front of you, there's some sample questions, just so you know. We included all of the different areas, so it's not just students, so you can take a look at it if you want to see what the questions might be. But we think it'll be pretty good for us.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Long. Any comments or questions from board members?
When do we plan to send this out? September?
Oh, we'd like to do it in September, as soon as we can get it all taken care of and arranged.
Okay, thank you. Our next item on the,
We need a vote.
we need to approve that.
Yes, we
Okay.
need a
I need a motion to approve that school climate survey.
Madam President, I move that we approve the NCSS Comprehensive School Climate Survey.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second,
Mr. Hubbard.
Mr. Hubbard.
Mr. Hubbard.
Mr. Hubbard? Okay, I have a motion and a second. Are there concerns or comments? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carried. And we'll
Thank
move
you.
on.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is approving the Teacher Appreciation Grants Policy. Dr. Arkanoff.
Thank you, Mrs. Toomey. This evening, I'm recommending that the board approve the Teacher Appreciation Grants policy, and Dr. Gabriel will provide you with some additional information.
Thank you. House Enrolled Act 1001 from 2017 provides for teacher appreciation grants. There is a policy that the board adopted first when it was required in 2017 relating to the amount that would be distributed to highly effective and effective teachers. The law requires the board to annually review this policy, and we have looked at this policy again and do not see the need for any changes. When you go through that, most of the language in the policy is in fact right straight from the law and simply makes sure that the process we use for this teacher appreciation grant is going to be a legal process. So there's no change here, but because the law requires an annual review, we are asking the board to approve of this policy this evening.
Questions from the board?
Dr. Gabriel answered mine. I was wondering why we were having to approve this since there's no changes, but it's required by our
Yes.
friends at the State House, so
Right.
we'll go on.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve?
So what would the state do if we decide not to approve this topic?
Basic-
Happy with this?
Basically, the law says that if you want to get the grant, you have to have a policy in place and have it reviewed prior to September 13th.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr., who did that?
Daniels.
Mr. Daniels, okay, and who seconded the motion?
I'll second that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Alexander. The motion has been made and second to approve this grants policy. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed likewise? Motion carried. Thank you, Dr. Gabriel.
Thank you.
We come now to other business on our agenda. Dr. Arkanoff.
Thank you, Mrs. Toomey. This evening, I just want to make a few announcements of dates. August 27th, I'll have a coffee chat at Jack's Donuts. It'll be 8 to 9:30. Come out, ask me questions, learn about all the great things happening in the district. On September 2nd, Labor Day, I don't think any of us are working. And then on September 23rd is our pre-ratification hearing. It'll be here in the boardroom at 5 p.m. That's another new requirement by law. So that is September 23rd, pre-ratification hearing.
Is that assuming we are done and through the process, correct?
That's assuming that we are ready to adopt it at the next board meeting.
At the next
That's
board meeting.
correct.
And if not, then it gets pushed to October?
That would be
Is that
correct.
my
'Cause
understanding of the process?
That's correct, because this hearing has to happen 24 hours before teachers ratify. So,
It get rescheduled.
yeah.
Okay,
I think it's 72, so we might.
Or is it 72 hours? Okay,
okay, thank you.
All right.
good question.
All right.
A couple others, sorry. September 24th, coffee chat again. I'm doing a lot of coffee this year, so. This time, the location will be determined. And then the last thing is September 26th. We're moving the board meeting from September 19th to September 26th to accommodate the process and the bargaining. So September 26th will be our regular board meeting at 7 o'clock right here.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Arkanoff.
Thank you.
Mr. Hubbard, do you have other comments or questions this evening?
Not this evening, Madam President.
All right, thank you. How about Mr. Daniels?
Not this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alexander?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Russell?
State board meeting was just last week. I'll get you that soon. I haven't had any of the other meetings because we're moving stuff around. So, that's it.
That's it.
All right. Okay, having no other business, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Thank you, Mr. Russell. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, likewise? Motion carried. This meeting is adjourned.